Hello everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another book review. As you can see, this is the final book of the Wicked series. This one's called Out of Oz. And that's young Rain, and her other name is Oziandra, which is very interesting. She is the granddaughter of Elphaba Throp, as you probably know who she is. If you open the cover, you see Burr and Rain, or Oziandra, and Tay, and the crazy goose. She's a very old goose, though. She's important in her upbringing, but it's actually a really, really good book. I really enjoyed it, and Dorothy reappears, but in a far different manner than you were ever expecting. She doesn't appear in a tornado. Slight spoiler alert there. And there's a P.S. at the end about St. Elphaba, and it's really quite wonderful. And Dorothy is put on trial for the murders of Nessarose and Elphaba, the Emperor's daughters. And a lot of Munchkinlanders were saying, well, Dorothy's a heroine. She should be praised for what she did, because everybody hated Nessarose, and people didn't care that much for Elphaba either. And you get to meet Lear and Candle. And Lear and Candle are the parents of little Miss Rain. And Rain, she feels this connection with the Grimoire. Of course, the Grimoire has gone missing, but she comes across it again. As I think it gets into the possession of Burr, or I forget if it was in St. Proud's. I forget who had it, but anyway, Rain feels this distinct connection with it when she's with Glinda. And, of course, nobody wants her to have it. They say you can't bring that kind of power back to Oz because nobody knows what it could do. It's dangerous magic. And she's the only one that could read it. And the book actually has a sense of humor, which is interesting. It makes itself into Gone with the Wind. And one point in time when she's at St. Proud's, they see her with a Grimoire, and one of the proctors asks her, well, what kind of book is that, my dear? And the book has on the cover, Read Me and Die. And then it changes its cover to Read Me Every Day. And it's just kind of funny that the book would have a sense of humor like that. It kind of reminds me of the Necronomicon. Because I thought, yeah, you should probably throw that book away and burn it with fire. Burning it with fire is actually a redundancy. Sorry, I just burn it. Burn that book. It's dangerous. You shouldn't be reading it. And get it out of my sight ASAP. But the ending is kind of sad in a way, because it just talks about the ragtag group that basically they decide to go away. They decide to flee because they've become kind of fugitives, in a manner of speaking, pariahs. Now, Rain, she is sent to St. Proud's to learn how to use her abilities, basically. There's a reason why she's clutching a shell in the very cover, but I'm not going to say why that is, because it's a huge, huge spoiler alert. It's very interesting, and it's very revealing to her character. I mean, something so innocuous as that, it actually is very revealing to her character. And she wasn't born with green skin. It just happens over time, because, you know, she's the daughter of Elphaba. Granddaughter of Elphaba, excuse me, I should say. Granddaughter, not daughter. And I love the fact that when she's with Nanny thinks that she's Elphaba. She says, no, I'm not Elphaba. I am Elphaba's granddaughter. And she keeps trying to get that to her thick skull, but she just doesn't understand that. It's like, no, you are Elphaba, and, you know, all that. But it's just, it's a very well-written book. I really enjoyed reading it, and I loved every minute of it. And the ending, it was kind of sad near the end. And there were some moments that were kind of bawdy in a way. They had limericks, And Dorothy is still very dotty in her ways. She's this kind of, she's a flighty character. And there's one point in time where Burr says, you know, Dorothy, you're a piece of work. She's not paying attention to him. And yeah, that's right. But pretty right on the money there, Sir Burr. But it's just, it's interesting that Dorothy even knew who Lear was when Lear was young. And it's, it's amusing that she thinks that Lear was sweet on her, which is possibly true, maybe. I don't know if Lear felt the same way, but it doesn't, the books prior don't really state that outright, but I always kind of had a feeling that maybe that was a possibility. I don't know, it's kind of up to the interpretation of the reader. Same thing with how it ends, and the ending is rather sad. I thought I just thought it was kind of, you know, bittersweet in a way, and kind of melancholy, and it's just this, her exploration, basically her coming to terms with who she is, who she can become, and that she there's really no place for her because of what has occurred. And it just kind of ends it on kind of a contemplative note. You as a reader, you just have to come to grips with what's happened. And it's kind of jarring at first, but I actually like the way it ended. And I still think it's kind of sad. But Rain is or Oziandra, she's a very tragic character, just like her mother or grandmother was. And her grandmother was very misunderstood. And I always felt, when I watched the original Wizard of Oz, and God forgive me for this, but when I watched the original, even though I knew that the Wicked Witch was an evil woman, I mean, I thought, yeah, she has her reasons to be evil like that. And she's, I felt sorry for her. I really did. I felt sorry for her character. And I always have felt sorry for her character. And especially after seeing Wicked, I really feel sorry for her character. I relate to Elphaba because I've always felt like I've been outcast. And there are a lot of parts of life that have kind of passed me by. But I know that's not always going to be the case. I'm more like Oziandra here, of figuring out where I belong and what I'm supposed to do with my life. It's just a very wonderfully written fiction coming of age tale. And the fact that fairy tales aren't all raindrops and kittens and unicorns and rainbows. It's sometimes fairy tales can be very gritty and harsh, just like if you've read the original Grimm's, like I said, the original Grimm's fairy tales are very gory. The original Little Mermaid is very, very disturbing, and I've read the original, and I wasn't disturbed by it. I thought that was the more logical turn of events for the mermaid herself, even though the ending is very, very sad. It's just a cautionary tale, basically, to the reader, especially the young child. They were always meant to tell a moral in a way or shape, form. And this is a modern day moral telling tale. And I would like to say that as a person who can relate to Oziandra and being on the other side of being ridiculed and mocked and being put down ever since I was a little girl, just because I was not like anybody else, and I never will be. I think I turned out pretty well. I think I am turning out pretty well. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, but eventually I will do that. And Oziandra does. And she comes into her own, basically. It leaves you to wonder whatever happened to her, because it doesn't really state that outright or give you a clear-cut version. It's kind of murky what Gregory Maguire, how he describes it in his wording, but it just it gives you a sense of satisfaction. At least I think I like the way it ended. So if you've read the first 3 books, then the 4th one is a definite addition to that, and it's over 500 pages. It's a big, yes, but it just takes you. It enraptures you from the very beginning when you open it up and you think, huh, Dorothy's back. Well, this is interesting. Where is this leading? And you just want to know what happens next and where Rain goes and how Rain develops, and just it's really captivating, I think. And Gregory Maguire is just such a wordsmith, and his his bodiness is actually very amusing, especially with the quadlings when they're doing the quadlings and the nursery rhymes. I should say the limericks. They're very funny. I mean, the language may be a little rough at times, but it's understandable. And it's just really quite illustrious for myself as a blossoming writer, and learning from such prose as these. It gives me better guidance as to how to write and how to grasp my audience, even though I'm not really writing for one particular person. I just write because I love to write. But that's basically Out of Oz. So until next time, Johnny.